is the Reserve Bank's interest rate policy smashing the economy? Is that a fair comment?
It is and it isn't. So it is a fair statement in that, yes, it's smashing the private sector, obviously, and it's the household sector because the households are going backwards. But that's also what interest rates are designed to do. They're designed to hit the private sector economy. That's exactly what they're doing. The problem we've got is we've got what a fellow economist, Tarek Brooker, describes as a burnout economy in Australia. So that's basically whereby the government spending and the government through its policies like massive immigration has got the foot on the growth accelerator, whereas the Reserve Bank's got the foot on the brake. And as a result, we've got higher interest rates and higher inflation than we should. And that's obviously smashing the household sector, especially those with mortgages. Like one of the reasons that there's three reasons why Australia's household disposable income has collapsed. The first is rising mortgage rates, obviously, and Australia's been hit harder than most other countries because we have a floating rate mortgages or variable rate mortgages. Most other countries are fixed rate. The second one is we've had a big rise in taxes. So income tax paid as a share of our income has gone up quite considerably, even with the stage 3 tax cuts. And that's because of bracket creep and the expiry of the lower middle income tax threshold offset. So that's driven up interest payments. Also, Australia's wage growth, despite all these claims by the Treasurer that we've got strong wage growth, Australia's nominal wage growth before inflation and population growth has actually lagged the rest of the world. So, and at the same time as our inflation's been elevated. So we've effectively, that's why we've had falling household disposable incomes. And that obviously hits mortgage holders the most because they're the ones who get hit by the rising interest rates. And that's about 1/3 of households in Australia who are getting hit by that. So yes, he is right. But at the same time, he doesn't explain his or the government's contribution to the higher inflation and higher interest rates through their spending. And it's interesting, David, I think one of the reasons why Jim Chalmers has been so aggressive saying that the RBA is, quote, smashing the economy is because most opinion polls now have Labor and the Coalition even on about 50-50, which means that if an election was held, we'd probably have a hung parliament. And the Albanese government's been running the line that cost of living, that they're trying to alleviate cost of living. They've identified cost of living as the key issue and the key concern of voters, which it is. But polling released this week by Redbridge Polling Group showed that only 24% of those surveyed could name a single thing that the Albanese government has done to help their cost of living. So roughly 3/4 of those surveyed believe the government isn't helping. And I think we've seen over the pond in New Zealand that the Reserve Bank of New Zealand has unexpectedly cut interest rates. So it cut interest rates by 0.25% last month, and it's forecast a whole bunch of additional rate cuts. And what that's done is it's actually led to a bounce in the polls of the incumbent national government, as well as a bounce in consumer sentiment and also government confidence. So I think Labor is praying that the Reserve Bank cuts interest rates before the next federal election, which is due in the first half of next year, because it knows if the Reserve Bank doesn't cut rates, it could be a one-term government.